Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our session today is a talent toolbox with focusing on the WMSD, that's web and mobile software developers, on Upwork Skills Certification Deep Dive. And today we are joined by Tiffany from the Upwork coaching team. Thank you so much for joining us, Tiffany.
Yeah, hi, everyone.
My name is Will Simpson, an event manager here at Upwork. Oh, sorry, we got a little bit of delay there. Sorry there, Tiffany. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. So today we're going to be talking about what are the Upwork skills certifications, a little bit about the benefits of getting certified, and then we're going to do a real deep dive into the evaluation process and the preparation required for success in this. So first off, we're going to start with what is the Upwork skills certification program? So from a high-level overview, can you sort of walk us through what this looks like, Tiffany?
Yeah, so the skills certification program is really a great way for talent on Upwork to really show off their skills and kind of stand out on the platform. So, being certified helps you attract those clients, helps back up the claims that you're making on your profile, and kind of helps you really stand out for that particular thing that you are good at. So whether that's, Kotlin programming, Python, whatever it is that you're doing, you can then take those assessments, get that badge on your profile, stand out to maybe internal recruiters, but also as you're applying for those jobs on the platform, pointing that out to clients saying, hey, I took this test, I'm skills certified. And so it's just an overall great program to stand out and show off your skills. So you can see here on the slide, there's a couple of different things that are pointed out here, right? It's a test for proficiency, varying by skills. It is timed and proctored, and it is invite only right now. And we'll have some information on how you can join if you're interested.
Fantastic. So there are a few different skill assessment categories available to the WMSD section, and this is based upon, I'm assuming, what the clients are actively looking for, and this is a constantly evolving list of programs here. So these are the ones we can currently get certified in. And obviously, this is something that are expanding in the future, but this is a pretty comprehensive list here. Are you seeing from your experience that this is leaning pretty evenly over these different categories, or are you finding that there's a few real hot topics from your perspective?
Yeah, there are definitely some that we have a lot more talent in than others. So, we have, I think, a lot of iOS developers. So I've talked to quite a few people who've taken, those Swift and Objective-C exams. I think we have a lot of people who are working in those desktop development areas of C# and C++. We have a lot of Android developers as well. I think we lack maybe so many PHP and Ruby developers. Maybe I'm just not seeing them on the coaching side, but it definitely seems like, of the 10 here, there are some that are a little more represented than others. But hey, we're happy to have all of them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The clients are certainly looking for them.
So let's. Oh yeah, definitely. And from what I've heard from a lot of our team members that are working with clients directly, is I've heard that clients that are looking for high-level developers and software designers, there's really a thirst for it on the client side. So this is a good market to be in and good skills to continually keep evolving. And perhaps that list we were looking at, if you don't have some of those skills in your tool belt, maybe those would be some good ideas for upskilling in your in-between project times. But let's take a look at some of the benefits here. So, excuse me. A newly certified independent professional does receive a one-time bonus of 80 connects, which is lovely. Always good to be able to put out some more proposals. And the skills certified badge shows up under the certification section of your profile. You'll see on the left-hand side an example of what this badge looks like. And an additional certificate ribbon on the skill they're certified in under the skills section of their portfolio. One that I really like about this is you get priority for invitations to submit proposals to jobs assisted by the talent specialists, and the option to apply for our Talent Scout program. Now, the Talent Scout program is a whole different topic. We'll dive into it another time, but suffice it to say, from a high-level overview, this is some of our teams that are working directly with our clients, whether those are enterprise clients or just clients really looking for some interactive help from the Upwork teams. But they actively pair, hey, we need this job done. Find me the talent that matches. And if you have this skill certification badge, that puts you right on that radar. So that's fantastic. And then one of the relatively new features, as I understand it here, Tiffany, is that there are specific cohorts available to these certified talent. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so in the coaching side of things, we offer these coaching cohorts to different types of talent. Maybe you've seen these already if you've been hanging out on the Academy page in the community, where you'll see these groups and they'll say, hey, are you new? Are you working in design? Are you a working mom? Right? We have these cohorts for a lot of different groups. And so we do have specific cohorts available for our certified talent to help kind of continue on your journey here at Upwork. So as you complete that exam and you get that badge, you'll start to see that you're invited to some other programs or some other cohorts to help you, grow your business here on Upwork. So yeah, that's another benefit that we're happy to provide from the coaching team.
I'm getting a few reports here that people are still only seeing the title slide. Tiffany, are you seeing the benefit slide right now?
I am seeing the slideshow. I saw those comments as well. I'm not sure why. Slide? I do see the benefit slide. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and assume we're still moving through. Apologies for those that are experiencing that.
Maybe if they refresh.
This event is being recorded. I will drop a link for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe refresh the page. All right, let's continue on here. So let's dive into the meat of this, which is the evaluation process and preparation. So can you tell us a little bit from a high level what this process typically looks like to get this certification?
Yeah, so once you get the initial invite from the assessments team, that will have some information about the exam, but it also is your invite to get it scheduled. So once you get that invite and you accept it, you have kind of a 14-day window in which you can schedule your first exam. And so you'll get a calendar tool in your browser where you can pick when you want to take your exam. And it's very flexible. So, you can hopefully pick a time that's going to be, good for you. No distractions or anything like that in your household or wherever you're going to take it. There are 2 exams that you take. The first one is a proctored coding test. You get 4 questions. You get to pick the language that you take that first exam in. And then once you pass that first exam, then you're invited to that second exam. The second exam is going to be language specific, and whichever language you've told the assessment team is your strength from that list that we saw in that previous slide, those 10 different languages. And then you are going to get 4 more coding questions. And then you're also going to get a few multiple choice questions that kind of test your knowledge about that specific language. So it might be a feature-based question or a platform-based question, depending on what the exam, that you're taking. And so as you're working through those, they are, timed, they're proctored. So we want to make sure that you're prepared. Once you get that initial invite, if you want to take some time to prepare, that is our recommendation. Don't just jump right into the test. Take some time to review the material, to take some practice tests. We're going to give you some resources and things to look at to help you prepare. But then once you've accepted, you get 14 days. So you can always kind of hang on to that, wait till you're ready. And then once you accept, get your exam scheduled. So that's kind of how this process works. And then at the end, you get, after you take that first test, you'll get a, hey, you passed, or sorry, you didn't. If you passed, then you're invited to that second one. And then it's kind of the same way. You get a, hey, you passed, or sorry, you didn't. If you do pass that second test, then you get all those benefits that you saw in that previous slide that we talked about.
Yeah. And I know we touched on it briefly earlier, but in regards to the invites, I was thinking through different ways to get invited to this program. Obviously, we want our account in good standing. We want to be actively working on projects. But one of the things also that I think is likely a contributing factor is if your skill tags are matching the skill tags that we can assess. And are you working on jobs with skill tags that match that? I have a feeling that will play a large part in calling out to our internal team members saying, hey, this person is indeed working in this space. Because obviously we all know that software development is such a wide range of programs and languages. It's like saying I work in IT, like, okay, that's a fantastically large topic. So I would say an important factor is to make sure that you have your your profile up to date and your skill tags up to date. If you're going out and you're brushing up on new programming languages, make sure you're updating your Upwork portfolio or your profile to match, because we can't just guess that you've learned it. So just a few little things that I think would stack the deck in your favor and getting on that radar. Now, there's a good question I just wanted to bring up from the general chat here. Excuse me. If you get certified, do you get the expert vetted badge, or is that a different program?
That's a different program. So Upwork certified.
I thought that would be the case.
Yeah, it does. So Upwork certified gets you, the little badge that says, "Hey, I'm certified in Python or Kotlin or whatever you check your test in," and then gets you some of those benefits that we talked about. The priority for talent assisted posts and connects and cohorts and things like that. Expert vetted is kind of a different program. They are not only looking for, like in this case, coding skill, but you also do an interview with their team where they're looking for professionalism. They're looking for your soft skills, right? How are you handling yourself professionally? Are you able to speak well with the client? They hook you up with some of the kind of top tier enterprise clients and things that we get here on the platform. And so they want to make sure that you are a top tier talent. And so that there's a couple of steps involved with becoming expert vetted. And that is one of our invite only programs. But this does kind of help open the door to that, because you have shown, that you are proven in your skills and you're taking a step towards maybe joining that expert vetted team. So I don't say that it hurts at all, but they are two separate things.
Got it. Good to know. I know we have quite a few different programs through Upwork, and it's good to know where each one is siloed and how it can benefit. So let's dig into the exam itself. Can you tell us a little bit about this? I know you mentioned it's sort of a two-part exam, but what are we looking at here? What should we be preparing for?
Yeah, so our exams are delivered through a platform called Code Signal, and you may be familiar with this. Maybe you've taken a Code Signal exam. Some companies use it as a hiring platform. So if you've applied for a job with a coding company, like a developer role, maybe you got an invite to do a Code Signal assessment as part of that. So you may already be familiar. But the first exam you take is called the General Coding Assessment, right? We call that the GCA. And so the GCA, like I said, you get to choose your language. So you'll get a prompt that's like, hey, what language do you want to use for this exam? You get 70 minutes, right? So that's an hour and 10 minutes to complete it. It goes very quickly. There are 4 questions. And so, we call the first 2, they're kind of puzzle questions, right? They're going to brain tease you a little bit. Sometimes they're a little math based. Sometimes they're like, hey, here's a string. Let's do something with that string. Let's manipulate it in some way. The third is going to be some type of matrix problem, right? So using arrays, being able to traverse those in different ways. The final is going to be some kind of algorithmic problem. So setting up, based on the criteria, maybe it's some kind of game. It's going to be a little lengthy for you to review. But we always say that the third one is typically the one that's going to take more code to solve, although the final one looks longer. So once you pass that general coding assessment, that's that first exam. Then you will get an invite to take the second one if you've passed the first one. And that second one is going to be your language specific exam. So on the GCA, these questions, they're going to be kind of, we call them language agnostic, right? Because you get to pick your language. So the questions, they're kind of designed so that they could be solved in any one of those languages. In the second exam, these are going to be very specific to the language that you've chosen. So you're still going to get 4 coding questions. It's going to be still 70 minutes. They're still going to be in the same format. So 2 puzzle, 1 matrix, 1 algorithm. But again, they're going to be a little kind of more tightly coupled to the language that you're writing in. And so there'll also be a couple of multiple choice or maybe short coding problems that are language specific on that second exam. They're usually only worth maybe 50 points, where the bigger coding questions are worth 300 or 600 points. And so these could be just checking your knowledge on something specific to that language, maybe just doing a quick, like, how do you make a class kind of problem that are pretty short. So Once you pass that one, that's it. You're done. You're certified, and it doesn't expire.
Right.
So I do like to point that out. If you pass the first one, but attempt the second one and don't pass the second one, you don't retake the first one. If you've passed it, you've passed it. So sometimes that is something that happens where people will take the first one and pass, get to the second one and not pass. Then you will be able to take the second one again after a 6-month waiting period, but you don't have to retake both. So we say, once you pass, you pass. And it doesn't expire. Like
That's
we don't
fantastic.
retest you after a certain amount of time or anything like that. So yeah, no, that is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we were talking about earlier, one of the primary differences between the first exam and second exam. Obviously, they're asking different questions, but what was it in regards to resources and being able to utilize different resources and the difference between the two test segments?
Yeah, so Code Signal allows during that general coding assessment the use of syntax resources. And so you can pull up, for whatever your language, whatever online resources you like to use, whether it's official documentation, whether it's a website that's, got great tutorials or code samples or something like that. You can have those resources open and on hand, and you can consult them during the exam. Code Signal does not want any copying and pasting. So while you can consult those resources and use them, hey, how do I make an array in JavaScript? Because I've totally forgotten. I look it up and then I write it into the Code Signal window where I'm putting my code. I don't copy and paste. You can go look at things on Stack Overflow, but you're not allowed to look at whole solutions. So if you are specifically Googling, like, how do I solve this Code Signal problem, and you pull up a solution, that's cheating. So there's kind of a gray area in there of like, these resources are okay, and you can Google and you can look up things as long as you're not looking for whole solutions and you're not copying and pasting something and pasting it in there like, hey, this is my answer. So yeah, you can, and I recommend you have those pulled up, you have them ready, you've kind of thought about which resources you want to use so that you're prepared and you're not kind of floundering around using your time Googling things when you could be, already having those available. For the second exam, you are not allowed to use any resources. No Googling, no other windows, no syntax resources. So you really have to, be prepared, have studied, and know what you're looking for to be able to complete that second exam. So it's very important to point out those two really different things about the rules. If you do open another window, if you Google or something while doing that second exam, it can get you disqualified from the program. And so nobody wants to have that happen.
Absolutely. It's very good to be aware of those specific nuances when there's differences between the two tests. Folks, I'm seeing some fantastic questions in the Q&A. We are excited to get to those in just a moment, so I don't think I'm ignoring them. Looking forward to diving into those. We just got one or two more slides, and then we'll go ahead and pivot there. So in regards to preparing, what are some of the preparations we can do to optimize our chances for success on these tests?
Yeah, so as I talk with talent who have either maybe taken the Code Signal exam and were not successful, or I talk to a lot of people who are successful to try to figure out, how to pass those tips along. We really want you to prepare before you take the exam. Don't just jump into it, because a lot of times what I hear are the types of kind of brain teaser, algorithmic type questions that I see on the Code Signal exam are not the types of programming I'm used to doing for my clients. And so a lot of times, we are great developers. We're doing great work for our clients. We're getting great feedback, but we're just not used to thinking and coding in the way that the Code Signal test is going to ask you to do. So take some time to prepare. There's no reason to rush. Refresh your memory on those basic coding skills. You can go in and prepare, look over the coding environment that Code Signal gives you. Make sure you understand how to navigate it, how to run, tests, whether you're using like console statements, print statements, whatever's applicable for your language. Sometimes I find that using some kind of try catch or whatever's, that I'm a C# coder, so try catch makes sense for me, but whatever's applicable for your language to get error statements to print out sometimes if you're not, getting a successful test out of Code Signal, but so that way you can kind of see what your variables are doing. You can take practice tests, and they're free. You can sign up with a Code Signal account right now. You don't need an invite from the assessment team to go sign up for a free Code Signal account. You can start taking practice tests. You can take them as many times as you like. The questions will change every time. You will get 4 questions in the format that I described, and start to get, they're not the exact same questions that you're going to see on the certification exam, but I have found if you take that Code Signal practice test enough times, you will start to see questions that you're familiar with. And that is the trick, right? You want to be able to quickly identify the type of problem and know immediately what you need to do to solve it. So when you get into that when the actual certification exam, then you just know, right? You don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about it. Make sure that you understand the rules of the exam. They're presented to you before the timer starts. So reading through those rules, again, thinking about the things that you can use and having those ready before you start the exam, and what things you can't use. Again, no resources on that second exam. And so, yeah, there's no downside to preparing, maybe thinking back to when we were in school or something like that. How would you prepare for an open note test? Pull up all that information, have it organized. If hey, I'm going to have trouble with that matrix question, pull up some resources in your language and have them ready so that you know where they are and you're not spending that time. Because, 70 minutes goes very fast. So that's the, kind of my initial thoughts on preparation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I shared a link that you shared with me earlier, that leetcode.com.
Yes.
And if I have that correct understanding, this is somewhere where you can go to do practice tests. And was it this one that you could specifically dial in what types of practice tests as opposed to just random coding? You can specify, I want to work on matrices or things of that nature. Do I have that right?
Absolutely. So yeah, LeetCode is a great tool. Some of you may also be familiar with that. And so you can go on there, make a free account. So LeetCode classifies their problems as easy, medium, and hard. On the Code Signal exam, you're never going to see hard problems. So they're always going to be equivalent to easy or medium. And LeetCode will let you filter in their practice problems based on type. So yeah, if you're not good at matrix, if you're not good at hash maps, if you're not good at those algorithm type questions or string questions, you can go in there and select those. You can then filter easy or medium and really start to, I say, grind out that practice. And it lets you be a little more efficient with your time, right? Because as you take those Code Signal practices, you're like, I don't want those first 2 questions anymore. I just want the last 2. And LeetCode really helps you kind of dial that in. So I think that's a great resource as well.
Perfect. And let's dive into Tiffany's top tips.
Yeah, so up there, right there at the top, LeetCode, right? Use it along with Code Signal so that I want you to get familiar with that Code Signal IDE. I think a lot of people get tripped up in that web-based environment the first time, and they spend, 10 minutes just trying to orient themselves. So really get comfortable with that online environment, and then, make sure that you've done your practice. Run often and submit often. There is no downside to submitting often. You don't lose any points for saying you submitted like the first one 15 times before you got the right answer. So don't wait. As soon as you have something of a solution, go ahead, run it, submit it, get your results, and then work from there. Don't worry about formatting. You don't get any points for formatting. Your code can look like junk. You're trying to go fast, not pretty. So yeah, definitely don't be in there. I know sometimes we just get into tabbing and moving things around, and unless you just absolutely have to, save yourself the time. Do one problem at a time. I personally think that the best way to navigate the exam is to do problems 1 and 2 in that order, and try to do them as quickly as you can. The benchmark that a lot of talent who have passed the exam has said they got those first 2 done in 10 minutes. And so as you're doing the practice exam, if you can get those first 2 in about 10 minutes, then you're kind of on that right track for time management on the certification exam. But do them one at a time. The speed score, because there is kind of a speed score involved, it doesn't help if you jump around between the problems, right? The total time for the problem is aggregated based on how you're working on the one problem. I do think that after you do 1 and 2, skip 3, because like I said at the beginning, 3 is going to be the one that takes the most amount of code to solve. So jump to 4. 4 is going to be that algorithm problem, right? It's going to look difficult, but it's really you just working up some logic to solve whatever they want you to solve. And then at the end, go to 3 and start working on 3. There's a couple of things in here, right? Substrings, hash maps, 2D arrays. Those are the big ones that you're going to see. Know how to traverse a 2D array in really unconventional ways, because you'll find some problems that kind of that's the trick. That's the key. And the one thing I didn't add on here, but it's come to mind, is every one of these problems is running a series of tests on the back end, and that's how you're getting your points. I mentioned earlier, some of them are worth like 300 or some of them are worth 600. There is partial credit. So even if you don't get the problem finished, if you're hitting some of those tests, you're going to get some credit. And sometimes I talk with people and I'm like, you were 10 points from getting a passing score. And so if they had just gotten a little more credit, if they just maybe hit one more test, they would have gotten it. So really, think about the problem, think about the tests that are kind of running on that back end. How can it be checking your code, and aim for those tests to try to get as many points as possible. Maybe if you're running out of time and you're thinking, hey, I'm not going to get it done, try to just see how many points you can get in the time that you have left. So those are kind of my thoughts from, like I said, I talk with talent who've passed and try to glean some knowledge from them. And then I work with a lot of talent who this is their first or second attempt, and trying to, really help them prepare. And so this is, my little nuggets of thought.
That's fantastic. I really like, especially the sort of insider tip on the order of operations for questions. That's fantastic. And knowing that we get partial credit, even if we don't, maybe we run out of time, maybe we hit something that stumps us, but we can still get those points. You mentioned something about a passing score.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what a passing score is out of the whole amount of points? I'm not familiar.
Yes. So on the first, now there's 2 different scoring methodologies, which makes this kind of tricky. So on the first one, when you take that general coding assessment, the maximum score is an 850. You need a 719 to pass. On the second exam, there's a different scoring methodology. The top score is a 1600, and you need a 1150 to pass. So there's a little different scoring methodologies between the 2 exams.
Got it. Perfect. All right. I think we're ready to, jump into Q&A. Perfect. We got quite a few good questions here. Let me back up and see what we have.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of good questions.
All right. Yeah, so there was a couple questions regarding the 6-month delay if you need to do a retake. Now, for instance, if I pass the first section and then don't pass the second section, I still have a 6-month delay before I can try again. Is that the same if I don't pass the first one? Is it still that same 6-month timer?
Yes, it's still the same 6-month timer.
Got it. Okay. And as I understand it, there's our teams that are helping facilitate these, processing quite a few, freelancers going through this program. So that may be a contributing factor into why there is such a delay in being able to circle back. Obviously, we have people around the globe trying to all get in this certification process. So giving everyone a first sort of chance before we filter back to a second chance may seem like a long time from our perspective, but it is, I think, probably in an effort of fairness. So.
Right. Yeah, it is a small team of 3 people, right. And they are trying to get everyone who, wants an attempt. And yeah, for those people who didn't pass the first time, this is why I stress so much to be prepared before you take that first attempt. So maybe you don't even need a second one, ideally. But yeah, that way they
Right.
can kind of, like you said, it's in order of fairness to try to get everyone at least one attempt.
Absolutely. Now, so in the effort of avoiding this situation where we're having to wait 6 months before trying again, one of the things we brought up earlier was this cohort that you have going on, and how this can be beneficial in making sure you're set up for success. Is that maybe this is a great forum where people can ask us specific questions, or if they're unfamiliar with what different languages or methodologies are going to be reviewed, maybe this is a good way to do it. I'm going to drop a link here in the general chat. And this is a form where you can register to be a part of one of these cohorts. And Tiffany, are these cohorts running multiple instances? Is there is there a timer on it? How do these cohorts work exactly?
Yeah, so we are running these currently. That we say that they're 2 weeks. Really, they look more like 4 weeks. So it's like 1 week of trying to get everyone signed up and get ready. 2 weeks of content, and then 1 week to kind of wrap up, answer any questions, make sure you've got all your resources, links, anything that you need to copy before we close up that group. And so they're run in kind of a forum style. So I make posts, you can make replies. If you have a question, you can start a topic, kind of similar to what you see in our Upwork community forums. But these are a closed group. So it's just us. And hopefully I'm able to provide the answers to the questions and guide you on what you're doing. So some of the cohorts that we're running are kind of like, topical to specific things. So maybe it's, hey, you're rising talent, let's get you top rated, or you're top rated, let's get you top rated plus. In this case, a cohort that's really helping guide people who want to be certified with these WMSD exams. We do have another coach that's running it on the designer side. So we do have cohorts for the graphics design certification exams as well. And then we do have some that are kind of like just groups based on other topics. So I mentioned there's like a moms group. So we have a cohort doing that. We have cohorts for some of our different, like the Ukraine action group, helping talent in Ukraine. We've got a couple that are like, hey, this is like a specific social group, and so we'll put those out and invite talent to those. And so, yeah, we coaches are busy. We've got all these different groups going on. So yeah, if you sign up for the one that Will is providing the link for, we're going to start next Monday, the 5th. And so that's when invites for that will start. That group is going to be specifically on this topic. So whether this is your first attempt, or maybe you've attempted before and you're going to retake, but discussing the exam, study resources. If you want to get together and do some coding practice, I usually group you up by language. So whichever one of those tests you're preparing for, we can look at some sample questions that I have. And then I can also help you with some other things to just, make sure that you're polished up and you're ready for, that assessments team to take a look at you. And I can get you recommended over to take the assessment at the end of the group. So working on that profile, making sure that that's updated, making sure that your portfolio has all the right pieces in it so that when they look at you, they're like, yeah, this is someone who we want, being Upwork certified. So yeah, that's what this group is going to be all about. So yeah, go ahead and drop your information in that form. You'll get that information from me starting on the 5th.
Perfect. And I'm gonna back up the slides here. A lot of people are looking to see that list of certification topics. So while I'm doing that, can you confirm another question we have, which is when it comes to the cohorts and when it comes to this certification, applying to be certified, excuse me, are both these programs free, or do they take any cost to participate in?
No, they are free. So Upwork is currently taking on the entire cost of running the code signal side of things. And so talent do not have to pay anything for these exams, which is great because they are kind of pricey. And so, and then no, our coaching is all provided free. So whether that is the cohorts, if you're invited to, sometimes in those groups, I'm like, hey, do you want to sign up for a one-on-one with me? Especially if this is a retake. I want to look at that previous exam with you and talk about some things that maybe went on. to really help you prepare. So one-on-ones with coaches, cohorts, whether you're getting into that academy and you're doing those free courses, if you are requesting a profile review, a proposal review, anything that comes out of that academy, all of that is currently free. So please take advantage. We want to make sure that you're the best talent you can possibly be on the platform. That is our whole goal.
That is such a resource, and you'd be crazy not to take advantage of it, in my opinion. Great question we have here. For someone that has already got a skill certification badge, they have it for PHP, can they also get another certification for different programming languages? Can they stack them up?
At this time, no. Again, in the interests of fairness, we are not currently allowing a second skill certification. That might change in the future, but as of now, the answer is no.
Good to know. So perhaps pick the one that you are looking to work in most predominantly in your field. So understanding your niche might be a good idea when deciding which sort of language to go for. Fantastic. Oh, good question here. Invitations open to developers who only have work experience outside of Upwork. I'm assuming that means you still have an Upwork profile, hence how you're on this event, but maybe your work experience has been external to Upwork prior to joining. Are they still eligible, or do you have to have a long track record on the Upwork platform?
So the team isn't necessarily looking at, there's not a specific JSS or anything like that you need. But it's more about the profile, how you're presenting yourself. Are you professional? And then having some items in your portfolio to, speak to your skills. And then, a recommendation from a coach helps. But that's really the things that the assessments team is looking for. It's not necessarily, hey, have you won so many jobs or have you gotten such a great feedback or anything like that. It helps, but is not required.
Absolutely. And to answer one of the other questions here, when will this program be released? It already is released. This is out in the wild. This is happening now. So good time to get involved. Absolutely. Let me see if we got some other questions we can address here. For those that are curious about the design cohort, okay, got it. The design cohort. I think the design cohort is actively happening now. Is that correct? Or is that happening a little bit later on? I know we have an event similar. This is the WMSD category. We're going to have a design version of this in a few weeks for those that are curious, but the cohort.
Yeah, my colleague Hilda has, I believe, been running that cohort for a week or so now. But we will definitely be doing these on repeat. So if you didn't hop into the first one, then yeah, I know like you said, you've been working on doing a similar event, hopefully with Coach Hilda, and then hopefully she'll get an opportunity to talk about and put another group together after that as well. But we know we have a lot of people interested, and we're trying to, open as many spots as we have available to do so. So yeah. And that is a very different setup. So yeah, you'll have a lot to talk about.
I'm looking forward to learning more about that one as well. I work on the graphic design side of things, and I'm very curious to know what this program looks like because I want to get involved.
See, us programmer people, we're not the artsy people.
Well, oftentimes, and there's a couple of people that brought up curiosity about working in WordPress design, and I'm assuming, I don't know yet, I haven't done my homework yet, but I'm assuming that will come up on the design and creative side as opposed to the WMSD, which I think is more specifically coding oriented, right, as opposed to design oriented.
Yeah, there is a lot of overlap between the two.
There is, especially in a program like WordPress, where you can actually be writing in code language, or like me, you could have no idea how to write in coding language and still leverage the tool. So now I'm going to drop another link in the chat here. This is where you can find a recording of this event in a couple days after we get it processed. And then also this is a wealth of knowledge in other events we do. We do expert talks where we talk to people that are titans in their industry, the best programmers, the best designers, whatever the case may be, people that are experiencing a lot of success. There's a lot of talent toolbox events such as this, where we dive into a variety of topics. You'll see Tiffany on a lot of these with me. She and I present together quite a bit. We will talk about, writing proposals, working on some of the soft skills, perhaps, things of that nature. So that link, the community events, make sure you bookmark it. And if you have a bit of time between projects, or you just want to listen to something in the background, I highly recommend you check these out, especially if you're relatively new to the platform, or if you're looking to really pick the brains of some of these people that are really crushing it on the platform. So fantastic resource there. Let me see if we got for a few more questions. For those that were asking about the previous event, the connects, those are going to be assigned based on filling out that post-event survey. So as we close out this event, no connects associated to this event, just for clarity. But as we close out this event, you will receive an email with a feedback link, and any feedback you can provide is very helpful to us. We curate these events with an aim to make it the most productive for you and to help your success. So the more you tell us about what you need and what you don't need, the better these events will be. So we appreciate your feedback on that one. Let me see. So a couple questions. So to be certified, should I just go to the Code Signal and do the challenges? That won't get you the certification, just going to the Code Signal link. However, that is where you can do the practice tests, as well as the LEET something or other that I posted earlier in the
LEET code. Yeah.
What was it? LEET code. Thank you. So these are the places where you can take the practice tests and make sure that you are ready to rock. Because again, we'd rather not hit that situation where we have that 6-month timer. And in addition to those practice tests, we've also provided the link to the cohort sign-up form. Take advantage of these resources. This is a heck of a deal considering it's free. All right. Now let me see if we have any additional questions we can get to here that we haven't already done.
I've seen a couple that are
Is the
kind of
certification going to become?
Sorry, we're stepping on each other with the delay. I saw a couple that were timing based that I wanted to just call out. One was, how long do I have to wait between the first and the second exam? And so with that process, if you pass the first test and you get that invite to the second, then again, you have that 14-day window to schedule. If you need longer, you're welcome to reach out to that assessments team and say, hey, I'm going on holiday and I'm not going to even be here. I'm like freaking out, like help. They can push that out and help you schedule that a little longer. So if something does come up and you need to adjust things, just reach out to that assessments team at that email that they're sending that information to you from, and they can assist you with that. So no worries if something needs to change. If you schedule your exam, first one or second one, and suddenly something comes up and you need to reschedule, again, they would prefer that you reschedule instead of taking it while you're ill, taking it in a poor environment, taking it on a poor connection, right? Set yourself up for success. Contact that team, ask to move your date. They can definitely accommodate you with that kind of thing. And so, yeah, anything in that timing-based thing, just reach out to that assessments team and let them know so that they can, assist as opposed to setting yourself up and doing poorly because you're stressed or in a bad environment. Yeah. So go ahead, Will.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else did we have?
There was just another one on the same sort of topic. I was seeing when someone gets an exam invite, how much time do they have to prepare? If I'm not mistaken, the default was 14 days from the invite. Is that correct?
Right. And if you want some more time, just reach out to them and say, hey, can I take this in a month? And they will set you up. So yeah, definitely just let them know if you need more time.
Cool. Great. And then another question here. Can the programming certification exam be tried a third time? Is there a limit?
There isn't currently a limit, but we may actually have one soon. So the answer is currently yes, but I wouldn't press that for too much longer.
Right. And I think one of the questions I was going to get to is this certification going to become mandatory in the field? And I think the safe answer there is no, definitely not mandatory. However, in an effort to stand out from your peer group, and when you're applying to some of these jobs, if everyone looks the same on paper, but one person has a certification badge, I know which way I would lean from a client perspective.
You're
and
exactly
similarly,
right.
Does this Yeah, and good question here. Does the certification pass or fail? Does it affect the JSS, the job success score, in any way, or are those completely separate?
Those are completely separate. So you don't need a JSS in order to do a skill certification. The skill certification will not change anything about your job success score. And you will keep it, if your job success score goes up or down or anything like that, it's, yeah, totally separate.
Got it. Fantastic. Good to know. And for those that are having specific experiences on the, taking the test and having gaps in time or needing to reschedule, I would suggest that reaching back out via the communication that they reached out to you with, so whatever email address or direct message that may be, I would suggest reaching back out to them. Again, there's an immense amount of traffic flowing through this team's program, so probably best to stay on their radar and just be like, hey, just in case you forgot about me. But they are doing their best and trying to get as many people the opportunity as possible. And to circle back to another question here, to get an invite, we touched on this earlier in the presentation, it is invite only. We want to make sure that we have our skill tags up to date on our profile, meaning this slide that we have visible now. If you don't have any skill tags that match at least one of these, I think it's highly unlikely you'll get an invite to take a test on it. So make sure that accurately, but make sure you're updating. If you're learning some of these coding languages, make sure you have tags on those. Also relevant will be the projects that you are working on Upwork with different clients. If those projects have the similar sort of tags, this further denotes to our teams that yes, this person is working in the space and may be a good candidate. There are a variety of factors in the cogs behind the machine that we're not familiar with and can't share, but these are some of the most obvious ways to get in front of those people and take advantage of it. Thank you so much, Tiffany. Thank you so much for taking the time and walking us through this whole program. And we look forward to seeing you on the next Talent Toolbox.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Will. Thanks, everyone.